Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, respected brothers and sisters in humanity, may the peace and blessings of Almighty Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, be upon all of us. Today, inshallah, we propose to continue with some of the thinking and conversations that we would have had in the previous programs. Today, I have on set with me the Member of Parliament for Lavendale East Mova, MP Adrian Leons, and I have with me on set likewise Brother David Millard, also known as Buffy. Of course, we have invited both of them on set today so that we can strike that balance. Of course, no conversation is good enough if you don't get viewpoints from both sides. I know a number of persons are tuned in. A number of persons have been marching. A number of persons have been echoing their own sentiments. We have been getting calls, WhatsApp. It is now occupying the social media. Of course, we need to hear from individuals for themselves, and we have invited both gentlemen on set today to share their own perspective. Gentlemen, welcome to the Challenges of the Muslim Ummah. Welcome. Any opening comments for the audience?
Well, we come together to find a solution. You know, I'm very pleased with the work that Mr. Millard is doing, and we come together to solve and to make a better Trinidad and Tobago, as we all love our nation.
Alhamdulillah. Brother Millard, any opening comments?
I am very, very pleased and encouraged by the fact that a member of parliament would come and sit with us and be willing to initiate discussion on a matter that is so pressing on a national level. That's my position. I'm just really happy that the government at large and MP Leons himself has taken the time out to come and sit with us.
Great, alhamdulillah. So let's put the whole program in perspective. We have had two programs so far, and those two programs would have created a lot of interest in the Muslim community and the Trinidad and Tobago in general. And the background of these conversations, these two programs were in fact, a lot of persons have now taken to the streets. They are marching and they are protesting and they are trying to send a clear message that they want to stand up for peace. They are no longer comfortable with sitting down and saying nothing. They have been activated. They are coming out in large numbers and they are picking up, they are now making the television. You are seeing the CNC3s and TV6 and so on. They are making the news. We are seeing on Facebook and social media. The majority of people, we believe, are genuine, hard-working individuals, and a few people we genuinely believe are responsible in some way for causing the whole community to be stigmatized in a particular way. So as Member of Parliament, I should open with you. How do you respond to this as a reality or not a reality?
Well, I support the work for peace. Actually, about 6 weeks ago, I myself, with the then National Security Minister, we also worked in Mova, following a double murder that occurred in my community, and basically encouraging persons to walk and stand up for peace. The walking and the standing up for peace is very impactful, and it resonates within the community because it says that it shows us a sign of unity against violence. It also brings an understanding that persons may speak out against certain actions. You know, there's a lot of fear. That's why I pause a little bit. There's a lot of fear in terms of people coming out and speaking openly about certain actions and activities within the community. But coming out and marching and walking is a symbol of, you know, listen, we fed up of this thing. You know, we don't want this in our community, and we're going to walk and march and speak out against it. So that's something I support, and I myself personally will stand up and walk and march for peace.
But Millard, I want to just put back in perspective again. You know, there has been march and there has been small voices when they come together. 1,000 small voices saying the same thing is no longer a small voice. It's a very impactful voice. And of course, the objective of these large numbers come together is because persons with large ears, government ministers and members of parliaments and the Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, persons who can hear and do something, the small voices independently would not be impactful. Large numbers, 300-400 people come out and say the same thing, of course people will stop and listen. So could you give us a little perspective again as to the march, what has happened so far, when is the next march, what is the objective? Give us a feel for the background again, inshallah.
Firstly, I think it's my duty as a Muslim to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I shall not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. So predominantly it is about all the people, Muslim and non-Muslim, coming together to change what is inherently within ourselves. As you said correctly, to stand up for something that is incorrect. In Islam, we know that one of the greatest forms of struggle or strife is to speak the truth in the face of a tyrant. The tyrant in this case is not an individual or a government or an entity. The tyrant in this case is evil at large. It is the wrongdoing. I firmly believe that drugs are the scourge of the devil in the modern day world. I believe that it is a plague upon us. And when you stand up for peace, automatically you stand up for the eradication of the drug trade, you stand up for the eradication of the corruption that exists and permeates all our society. Now, that being said, the impact of people coming together is going to have, as the Imam correctly said, an impact on the larger political environment. And I use the word political not necessarily in the Westminster form, but political as the people. We, the people of this part of the world, are in a position that is not an enviable one. As we know, it's a huge transshipment point. Some of the drugs residually remains here, and as a result, the gangs are formed. And the gangs now come from oppressed areas. And these boys and girls, as the Imam pointed out to me prior to we coming on here, that when you see the vulnerability of a man being in a depressed or oppressed situation, the women are automatically oppressed as well. And that's a very valid point. So now we're looking, and when the women are oppressed, the children are automatically oppressed. So now it permeates the entire society. So now that we have arrived at this situation, and I cast no blame, because if there is blame to be cast, I am the first to say blame me as well, because I am part to blame for this. Now, so all of us in this who would stand up and say, okay, whomsoever is to blame, why are we where we are? That's not important, you know, Imam. What is important is how do we come out of the situation that we are in? This is the beginning, in my opinion, that men of perhaps different beliefs, different manifestation of said beliefs can sit together and concentrate on the greater problem instead of the minute differences that we may have. I mean, not because you're sitting in front of me, but your reputation precedes you. You're a man that stands up and fights for the poor and fights, as is demonstrated here today. The Imam said on the last program, very few people of position would like to come onto his program because two things. One, he's a razor sharp sword, and two, it's that, for whatever reason, people are afraid to stand up and say the truth. You have broken that glass ceiling, and I hope that men now take after what you have done and stand up. Now, in answer to your question, the perspective of the march, I don't like the word march per se, because we are not protesting or marching against any one entity or person. This is not against the government. This is not against the police service. This is not against that. This is for something. The famous saying that says, you do not fight a war based on the hate of what is in front of you. You should fight it based on the love of what is behind you. Your family, those who cannot fight for themselves. That is what we are standing up for. We're not standing up because we hate someone. Because those whom we hate, inshallah, shall become our brothers tomorrow.
Alhamdulillah. But it is well said that some individuals turn out to be the byproducts of the environment in which they find themselves. For example, you grow up in a particular community, and that particular community has killing. You lost your own brother, your own father, somebody you lose. And you tend to feel that need for some kind of justice. And the justice system seems to be very delayed. And you feel as though you can be next. And you feel there's a need to protect your own self and to protect your family. And then you feel the need, almost as though the authorities, those who the power has been invested in, are unable to assist. And for whatever reason you feel the need to probably purchase an illegal firearm or to get involved in some kind of nefarious activity. So the point I'm making in short is that persons who find themselves in communities such that there are gang violence, there's drugs, there are killing and so on, they tend to come out as a byproduct of that particular community, those particular situations and so on. How do you respond to the fact that some communities seem to have fallen into this kind of situation where it is more likely that more and more individuals would turn out to be individuals who are dealing drugs and a number of nefarious activities? You are,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, well, Imam, I would consider myself as a byproduct of a community that is labeled high risk and high crime, dangerous, and which is why the marching is important, and I applaud the work of bringing persons together, because what would have prevented me from picking up an illegal firearm, and because I lost friends and family also, and trying to seek justice for myself, was the ear to be able to hear somebody close to me to say, listen, there's another way, right? There's a mentor, or there's a brother, or there's a sister. So within the community coming together, standing up and marching against crime is the beginning of forming organization where we can counsel. So you lost a brother or a sister, you can counsel. You know, it's the beginning of forming an organization to promote other areas of where you can benefit, so that you don't have to go into the drug trade. You know, it's an opportunity for organization to do positive things within the community, and I would dare say to even change the environment, because the feel of the environment also has a lot to do with how we treat each other and how we relate with each other. Coming together as a group, clean up, and again I want to applaud the brother, because I understand he has been spearheading improvements in certain areas, right, which he probably could elaborate on. These are things that affect the crime. Crime is not just the drug trade, as we indicated, but it is also the environment, it's also the influence that we have on persons, individuals within the community. And once we have an organization that has a voice, and as you said, once the numbers grow, the voice is bigger. This organization is not just to walk, but it's also to influence, so to pull the vulnerable, to identify persons that may or may not be as strong. You know, so it's really a brotherhood of a positive movement for a positive change.
But Amila, would you agree first and foremost that persons who seem to be, the word gang by definition, it is, without going to the exactness of definition, it's a number of people coming together, and that group is being referred to as a gang, and the gang has a gang leader, and the whole structure exists. And the whole idea of maybe forming a group of persons who are like-minded, who want the same thing. They do not want violence, they want peace. That is in fact forming like a positive gang. Well, I know nobody want to put the same word for two areas. But I want to ask the question directly. What has been the progress so far? Is it that people are gravitated? Are you feeling the positive impact? Are you struggling to get people to, are people fighting to come forward and let their faces be among the faces that stand up against violence and for peace? What has been the general reaction thus far?
The reaction has been bifold. The reaction is in an overwhelming majority for what we are doing. I would say 75 to 90%, anywhere between there. I don't have the exact demographics, but between 75 to 90% of the people, Muslim, non-Muslim, whatever religion they may belong to, whatever strata of society they may be involved in, they are all for what we are doing. A lot of them are saying, be careful, you know, people are not going to want this. The few who everyone is so terrified of, you know, be careful, why does it have to be you? Why don't you just abdicate it to someone else? The usual things that are said. But there are a 15 to 20% of people who are saying, why peace? We don't need peace right now. We need to eradicate certain things, and we need to this and we need to that. To these people, I simply say that there is no violence in love. There is no taking of something that is pure and clean and making it dirty or achieving a clean product by a dirty means. The end does not justify the means. The destruction of our society, and again, I'm going to say something that may not be too popular in certain circles. You made a comment about gangs. Any conglomeration or congregation of men and women in the world, in the human race, is based upon an alpha system. The alpha male and the alpha system is always in place. So those who rule at the upper level, when it trickles down, whatever products and materials that can be shared, they will be created an alpha system. And unfortunately, the same men, and this is psychologically proven, scientifically proven, the same men who are the criminals in our society, if given an opportunity, they can be the leaders of our society in good things. It's a mindset. The alpha is the alpha. So these young men who have gone astray, and these young women who are fighting for their children and fighting for their way forward, their education and whatnot, they are the ones that could lead us if given an opportunity in a different area. Some of them have become destroyed, I'll be real. Some of them have become broken. But some of them are still young enough that we can reach out to them, as the MP said, and we can reach out to these people. But now this opportunity, I mean, granted, we know the opportunities come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we are speaking now on a mundane level. This opportunity must be, and this is where I am asking you and asking the MP, what are the plans that perhaps are in place? The march has been going well. The work has been going well. People are gravitating to it. As you asked the question, people are coming forward. We were in La Puerta, we were in Diego Martin, we were in Covine Road, we were on the main road, we were in Bagatelle, we were over on the other side in St. Lucian. We're going up to Simeon Road today, most probably. These are high-risk areas that we have been going to with no kind of problem whatsoever, because people, let me say this, I or no one else has been empowered to make a peace treaty on anyone's behalf. This is not about making a peace treaty. This is simply about offering an option to the people. As you correctly said, this is what is available. You make your choice. This is the clean glass of water. What do you choose to drink from? Do you wish to cower in fear, or do you wish to stand up and give your children an opportunity that perhaps they can now go forward with equivalence? But my question in return, sorry to turn this around, my question is, from a governmental point of view, what options are there, in your opinion, MP, for us?
Well, the first thing is, and this is an error that I've seen perpetuating in a lot of our communities, where the lack of coming together and forming groups and organization and registering it reduces our ability to get government assistance. And so that information is something that must be shared. You know, we form community groups, we register it, and there are a number of programs and funding available through law enforcement agency, you know, OLEP, and different national security grants and funds that assist in some of the initiatives that the community can come up with. They are existing, and they have been existing for quite some time. What we don't do, we don't tap into it, because we don't form organizations, we don't understand some of the policies that are available, we don't engage, so that we miss, right? And we try to do a lot on our own, and we have restrictions, we have financial restrictions. Even the government too, have financial restrictions with respect to grants and stuff. But there is some form of assistance, even through the community development grants, you know, doing community projects and programs. There's assistance available with each initiative, but we just have to tap into it.
You know, we are going, sorry, man, but we are going, I want to make this clear, because all of us who are involved in this are categorically stating one thing. This is not about a URP, CPEP ideology. This is not about a handout for us. We are asking not in any way for a handout. We are not asking for something where brothers don't have to go to work, or sisters can sit at home and do nothing and get a check when the fortnight comes. We don't want this. This destroys, this atrophies the people. What we want is we want an opportunity for people to become involved in initiatives, as you say.
Right.
I mean, we have, for example, we have over 3 acres of land cleared in Diego Martin already, ready to plant pimentos and pineapples.
Right.
We have a tourism industry initiative in Blue Basin already set up. We already have things that are in place that we need help with.
Right, and what I'm saying is, and I'm agreeing with you, and I haven't discussed CPEP on Europe in any way.
No, I'm not saying you have. I'm just saying that we want the public to know that.
So these initiatives, they are agricultural initiatives. As a matter of fact, there are more initiatives to assist in agriculture than there, to me, in any other sector.
Yeah.
Right? But again, the challenge is the process in accessing the assistance, and this is where I think the energy and the information and maybe a point person within the group to seek and to get that process and information in so that we can properly and strategize as to how we can move forward with these invaluable initiatives that you're saying there.
So, no, gentlemen, in the last few minutes there, you all have said so much. I want to start off with Brother Millard first, because he spoke quite nicely about that topic of peace. But I don't know that people want peace outside of justice. And that is a conversation that we cannot exactly run away from. There are a lot of persons who are listening who might be opposed to peace because they believe that the justice system means that you would have done a disservice to me or my family, and I expect that you pay the consequences for your action. So when we initiate peace march and the likes, of course the intention is well, but there must be some level of law enforcement, some level of comfort, some level of counseling, some level of assurance that the persons who may have done this injustice to my family and so on, within the whole activity, the whole planning, the whole idea of coming forward and saying I don't want no more killing, it does not mean that I do not want justice for what would have already been done negatively against me. How do you respond to the justice part of those who have that pain that they are going through right now, that they have been done a disservice? What I mean that first, yeah.
All right.
You want to pet you in the program?
No,
Oh,
I thrive off of the fact that you don't pet. As you say, pet and powder, right? Imam, listen carefully to this. I want you to listen extremely carefully to this point.
I want the public to listen carefully.
Yes,
because
but I love to address you because the public can't question me. You are the one that questions me. I have been part of peace treaties for the last 28 years. This is not one of those circumstances, but because of that experience that I possess by the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I can say this categorically, clearly, without any belief that anyone can contravene this statement. Regardless of what is done, there are going to be matters left unaddressed. It could be in the United Nations, it could be in the Trinidad and Tobago courts, it could be here in this given situation. If 100 people have been murdered, yes, there will be 100 aggrieved families.
And more.
And more. When we sit and we talk, I can only utilize the Prophet ﷺ as my best example.
Right.
If anyone cares to look for my dalil, as we say, sorry to say, but this is an Islamic program, is that the dalil is the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, when the Prophet ﷺ made a treaty that seemed as though he lost a lot. But in actuality, when you have confidence and faith in your Lord and in your way of life, Islam, you cannot lose once Islam is placed in front. So the peace that we come with is a peace of contentment. It may necessitate some modicum of forgiveness, yes. In other words, I cannot see you shot down in the road and bleeding in a drain the way my brother, husband, uncle was shot down, my son. But what I can see is perhaps an opportunity of going forward. Now we know qisas is Islamically acceptable, but the main thing, as the Prophet ﷺ said continuously, the best way out is forgiveness, whether it be a loan, whether it be the forgiveness of a harm done unto you, because revenge, you need to dig 2 graves, Imam, we know that. One for the person you revenge and one for yourself. The malice is eating our society alive. And the malice never ends. If you ask how this so-called war began, and I don't want to deal too much or dwell on the war, that's a different program. But if you want to ask how this so-called war began, 98 to 99% of the people involved in the so-called war don't know because they weren't there. I know. I was there, and I can say how it began. I can say who the players were, and I can say what the problems were. These little boys who are killing each other indiscriminately have no idea why they are killing each other. You know what war is, Imam? Old men talking and young boys dying. That's what war is. And we need to put a piece of, a P-A-C-E, piece of forgiveness. And I may sound very, very naive by saying this, but the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses and overcomes all things. We must say, if we believe in something, we must believe that His mercy can overcome the wrath of all those involved.
Just before I come back to you, Minister, MP, I'm coming back to you, but I want to finish him first.
All right, no problem.
Because the public wants to hear. They don't want me to let him get away with
Right,
that.
right. What you told them, you must say finish it up.
The public don't want him to get away with that.
Right.
Right? In short, you know, Trinidad and Tobago, somebody commits a murder. And the police is all busy trying to find the relevant perpetrators and sort of that crime. And the families feel contented that when they hear that someone was held for that particular murder. And they feel happy to the person went to court. And they feel happy to know the person was in fact prosecuted, found guilty, and made to pay for their wrongdoings. This is how it is. Islamically, likewise, you mentioned a nice word, qisas and so on, which for the benefit of the public. Individuals who would have been wrong, they have an opportunity of one of two. Of getting the exactness of what would have been done against them, or they can choose to forgive and they can get some level of compensation by virtue of money or whatever. In this case, so many people have been wronged in this country. And if it is we are to really sell that program of peace and sell the program of forgiveness and sell the program of maybe getting some kind of compensation for the hurt that you would have gone through, some level of counseling, it has to be much broader than gathering a mass of people, allowing them to voice their desire, their wanting for peace. It's much more than wanting peace, and then when you go back home, you still go home and cry because you have lost your mother, your father, your brother.
I agree with that statement,
so therefore,
1,000%.
how do we reconcile all these people who have been hurt, outside of offering the arms of counseling and the arms of justice? How do we go forward? Persons who are looking on the program right now, they want to be part and parcel of peace, but there cannot be peace outside of any commitment of justice somewhere around the corner. How do we respond?
Imam, you have gone at least 7 or 8 steps ahead of where we are presently.
Oh, okay.
The first step, the longest journey begins with a single step. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, make 1 step toward me and I shall make 10 steps toward you. This is a single step. Now let's use a little example internationally. In Rwanda, in 3 months, 90 days, 800,000 people were killed, slaughtered. How do you reconcile the murder of almost 1 million people in less than 90 days? It took them a long time. They reeled from it. They still reel from it. But what they did was basically they had no alternative but to forgive a large majority of what was done, because you cannot exact sufficient revenge. If I kill 8 people in your family, are you going to kill me 8 times? The pain never goes away once you are focused on the pain. And what I'm saying is total agreement with what you are saying. We necessitate a plan going forward. The first thing is, in any kind of restorative operation or restorative act, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a drug addict, or I'm a sex addict, or I'm a gambling addict, the first thing you need to say is, I am an addict. Is recognition of your problem. So therefore, the persons involved have to recognize we have a problem. And that's all we are asking with our walks. Recognize there is a prevailing problem in our society. I'm not blaming anyone. A lot of people are jumping out and saying the government is to blame, or the prior government, or the prior government. So a human being, a leaf cannot fall from a tree except by the will of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, I cannot blame any human being for where we are. We are where Allah has allowed us to be and intends for us to be. How do we come out of this, as we said, by changing what is in ourselves? And what do you think we need to change? We need to change the level of malice that is pervading our society. Young men are hating each other simply because they live in a different place. And they don't even know why they're hating each other. Now, I grant you that there are people who have been genuinely wronged. And these people have to be given some modicum of justice, because there can be no peace without justice. I understand that as well. We have not arrived at that point yet, and I don't know how. I don't know what's going to happen to me in the next second of my life. How can I know what's going to happen then? And please address this as well to the MP. I don't just
Of
leave
course,
me
of
out
course,
here. That's-
of course. But I think now that you have answered in that particular way, I think the viewing audience might be much more comfortable. That there must be some level, some conversation with regards to justice within the whole framework of things. So, Minister, MP, I don't know why I see in the future. In the program, I see in the future. I'm only calling you Minister. But MP, you know, when someone lose a life, and we would have seen in the recent past where the Commissioner of Police would have gone to the families and they would have showed a presence. We have seen in the past many government ministers and so on. They would have gone to individuals' homes and so on. That topic of counseling seems to be a tool that is maybe underutilized. Because someone who would have lost someone in their family who's near and dear to them, who don't, if they had to judge based on the justice others would have gotten, they don't see themselves getting any justice at all. So therefore, counseling for them to come to terms with that reality. How do you see the arms of the state? How do you see the treatment of counseling as a tool, a necessary tool for so many people who seem to need counseling based on the fact that maybe the crime would be curbed much faster if persons are offered counseling to come to appreciate that they should pick up arms and go and get revenge on them for themselves. Let the arms of the state, with regards to the police and the courts and the prisons and so on, take its natural place. How do you see counseling in particular?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Counseling is a function that the state provides. Like, for example, in schools, you know, there are counselors assigned to these schools.
Yes.
But in reality, especially schools that are located in high-risk areas where a number of the children that attend the school have a number of issues, the work of the guidance counselor can only do so much. And many times, sometimes these counselors are shared within schools also. So the impact or what is required for proper restoration or proper guidance or proper clinical examination of the individual with the problem is not as effective as it should be because of the resources, which is why I'm saying the groups and the forming of the groups, the importance of that comes in, which is why I said earlier, as a young person growing up, somebody had to come to me and say, hey, not so. This is the way it have to go. So because of the limitations of the state as it is now, that's the reality.
But I want to, I don't want to be too soft on you.
No, don't be soft. but let me finish make this point.
Okay, please
Because of the limitations of the state as it is now, right, in terms of counseling, right, and the amount of counseling that is required for individuals, we, as a people, need to understand where the gaps are and strategize to fill these gaps, and not just look at an individual and say, well, you know what, the state will handle that. Or we need, because at the end of the day, that same individual may be a problem in the future.
You know, MP, when you hear the older people speak, they speak about a whole community took in the past to raise a child and all these nice stories. Sometimes I get fed up with these stories too. Yes, sometimes. When you hear the same story over and over, when we were small growing up, if you beat somebody's child and they go home and complain, they get more licks.
Yeah.
Or we hear that story over and over.
Yeah.
But I accept that in the past, it seems as though the community used to take responsibility for children. They can't grow up in the road and back answer or not say good morning and so on. Yeah, we hear that story many times. But I'm asking a specific question as it relates to the arms of the government with regards to maybe Ministry of National Security, maybe members of parliament of different communities. We've seen the murder toll rising 408, 400, and it keeps going up. If you look at the past few years, we see a number of persons who were killed. I'm asking the question specifically. Yes, I heard the guidance counselor for schools and so on, and I know about it. I have children.
Yeah.
I know about it. But if we can go specific, someone died yesterday. One of the first action, in my opinion, that should have been on the table is that the members of parliament for the relevant areas should, in fact, reach out to that family, whether it means that the government would have provided a pool of counsellors, ready and available to go and meet the families who would have lost someone and see all the affected children and all the, so that you can find some level of comfort that you don't need to take justice into your own arms, because the state would have provided the first person to reach out to you. I am here from the MP's office. I'm here from the Ministry of National Security's office. I'm here from the government's office. I come to bring that level of normal, nice words and so on to the family, and to offer counseling. But
okay, and let's look at reality with respect to time. That is done. When some people lose their lives, we go to the families, and that's a normal function I think most MPs will carry out. However, it is not practical for me as an MP to say, listen, I'm going to stay with you and counsel you and nurture you, because you just don't have the time.
I agree.
Right? And what I'm saying is the gap in that must not be solely reliant on the government resources, which we already identified that the individuals that can provide this service, there are limitations there also. So until those resources are increased, the community, and I understand the story of, we have a story of the long time the community goes it, but that's the community that we grew up in, and that is why we are the individuals that we are.
Okay, hear me. I want us to take a short break.
Okay.
What I want you to, I want when we come back for us to deal with that, two issues. One is that you made mention that maybe individuals who can access funds and so on, they're not organized sufficiently to form themselves in groups, make a proper application and so on.
Yes.
So it seems as though their literacy or being disorganized is preventing them from accessing funds. And Brother Miller, don't feel, of course, the public want to hear from you even more, because we too feel that that topic of justice and so on, as it ties into peace, need to be ventilated a little more. We'll take a short break, inshallah. We'll be back very shortly.
And greaseproof paper, ideal for doubles, french fries, and sandwiches. Supplying stores nationwide. For quality products, trust your Cliche Limited, 665-3336.
Need medical assistance? Come check us out at Ultimate Medical Clinic. We offer a wide variety of medical treatments. Why live in pain and suffer with wounds and ulcers?
Ultimate Medical Clinic also provides laser therapy for pain relief and wound healing.
We also treat arthritis, knee, neck pains, diabetic neuropathy, diabetic foot sores, psoriasis, eczema, and many more health conditions. Call us today to schedule your appointment, 665-1188, or visit us at 111 A John Street, Montrose, Chaguanas.
Great news! With Trinidad Fresh, you get 70% real fruit juice, and it's available in fruit punch, orange, and apple.
Trinidad Fresh.
Alhamdulillah. So welcome back. So let us start off with first Brother Milad, because I want to give Minister a little chance to rest and reflect now. But Brother Milad, you know that topic of justice and that word that links to justice, that word of fair. Persons who have high rifle, firearms, and so on. And we can look at the example of the Wayne Jackson, superintendent of police, prison, who would have been gunned down and so on. It further puts that fear into people. Am I really ready to come out and make a statement? I want justice, yes, but I don't know I can take on those individuals who may see me coming forward and making comments and statements. How do we ask for peace? Under that umbrella of that fear, we are fearful of individuals because we are not equally armed. We want justice, but we're not equally armed. And here it is, we are seeing bigger than us being gunned down, persons who have authorities being gunned down. How do we call for peace with the background of that topic of fear and that background where justice seems to be hard in coming? Brother Milad.
All it takes for evil to thrive is for good men to stand by and do nothing. Edmund Burke.
Yes.
It's not Quran, it's not a hadith, but it's a true statement. How did we arrive where we are today? All of us here, well, you might be the youngest between us, but all of us here are a little older, and we understand that when we were growing up, it was not this way. Mm-hmm. Okay? If one man had a gun in every 200, 300 men in the ghetto, that was a big thing. Now, if one man does not have a gun, he's prey. Everybody wants a firearm. As you said, they feel they need this for protection. Mm-hmm. This is all a mindset. I'm going to say something here again that is not popular in the minds of those who do not know and understand. Guns do not kill people. People kill people. Canada has more weapons than the United States of America, yet still they have 10% of the murders of the United States of America. How is that possible? They have more weapons, more firearms in Canada. Per capita, they have almost twice the number of firearms, but they have 10% of the murders. Guns do not kill people. It is a mindset that we have allowed to penetrate and permeate our society, that a life is not of any value whatsoever. Now, we know that lives are not of an equivalent value. I mean, people, again, not popular, a life in Goodwood Park or in Westmoreland or in Victoria Gardens or in Bel Air in South is not equivalent to a life in your constituency. I would hazard to say maybe 10 or 12 people have to die in your constituency, well, maybe more, maybe about 20, 25 people have to die in your constituency to be equivalent to one person dying in their constituencies. But this country, and I'm not speaking of race, I'm speaking of so-called class or presence in the strata. In this given situation, you are speaking of fear. And my condolences to the family of Mr. Jackson and also to Mr. Bash, whose house was firebombed. And, I mean, I know what fear is like. I know what it is to feel fear. And fear is a very terrible thing, especially children and, the entire situation. I am truly, truly sorry for these people. This is a manifestation of the mindset that we have allowed to enter our society. You posed a direct question. How do people seek peace when they are fearful for their own lives? The answer is going to be very, very harsh, at the risk of your own life. Full stop. If we do not gather together to defend our children, our helpless, our geriatric society, they are going to be slaughtered and enslaved by the evil that permeates and penetrates and pervades within our society. That is my opinion.
Well, that now was the answer there. I had to leave you alone. Because if you're in public, they're so clear. Because I'm saying that I hear you, and I know there need to be some arms of the state, whether it be police, whether it be whoever it is. They need to be part and parcel of reassuring the communities that they are here, they are available, do not feel the need to buy illegal firearms. We need to regain confidence in the police. I like the fact how the Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, would have said very clearly, WhatsApp me or text me and so on, just to show that you are not distant from me. He created a connectivity, right? So I'm saying I'm happy to know that we can sit on the table and at least agree in principle that is not sufficient to leave out the courts and the long time they take for justice, the police and all the perceptions with regards to whether or not they are for or against the people, and the reality that the Commissioner of Police newly installed, he has seen the need to create that communication, to fix that communication gap. You can't get onto the police, you can't get onto this one, you have a problem, text me, WhatsApp me. You see how that goes, right? But going back to the MP, you know, I want to leave you with regards to that funding available story that so many people can access but are unable to access because maybe they are disorganized. So the educated from amongst the communities who can write properly, who can go on Word and so on and download nice templates and so on and put nice photos where they could pull from, they're more likely to get funding than anybody else. Persons who are unable to hold it academically strong. So I am saying in simple, it seems as though while that answer that you would have given, as it relates to the funding being available, initiatives within agriculture, a number of things you would have said. It sounds nice, but I'm saying it seems as though that there is a disjoint between those who need it and those who can access it by virtue of the academia. How do you answer to that?
Well, me personally, I've been going through the community and identifying areas and spaces where they may, as you would say, they may not have that level of organization, and encouraging and actually teaching them how to bring that together, how to come together as a group, how to get the names, actually help assist in filling out the forms. And what I'm saying is we need to be conscious of process. The government is not going to write a check to John Doe.
Accept.
Right? So John Doe cannot sit down in his house and have a problem and an issue, need some assistance and expect money to just come just like that. So the process, the education of the process needs to happen, right? And not just understanding the process, but actually putting the functions in place. For example, you need to have a bank account and all of these things that will take time so that we can move that forward. You don't need to be academically strong to understand that process, because we have gathered persons together. They understand, okay, we need to have an ID card, we need to put this in place, and we have put people in charge who are more inclined in terms of reading and understanding, who would give them assistance. Once that organization is formed, it's just a matter of keeping it going, having meetings, identifying what are some of the issues, coming up with plans as to what are the strategies are we going to implement, who are we going to seek assistance from, what type of assistance is required, which will determine what agency we're going to. So that basically the more difficult part is educating for information and setting up. But once that is done, it's just a matter of process.
You know, we don't have enough time to really develop this further than where we are now. I only want to be bought by saying one thing. In the past, when you had URP and so on,
right,
persons who may come out of the prison who would have served their time and so on, they would have been, it was like a nice catchment point, where so many persons could have gone in the URP and would have gotten jobs and so on. Now we have CPEP, where you have to be organized and you have to be registered and you have to do a number of different protocols and so on. And business people seem to have taken the lead with CPEP. And they hire now persons who they believe or who they are comfortable with. So it means that there's a fallout now of persons who the intention of the initial thinking versus the end result of the day. I want to mirror that against the example of what you would have just given, where it seems as though the protocol issue is easy for the government. Protocol issues are easy for anybody who's managing.
Right.
But the small man on the street who really needs that employment, he no longer can simply go to in the URP program. He needs to be considered by the CPEP lead.
Well, Imam, no, that is not correct.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that is not correct.
And both programs are there for separate reasons. the URP program is still there for unemployment relief, right? So anybody can go into the URP program, register, and seek work. The problem with the URP program is the intention of the URP program, a number of persons do not join the URP program for that. There are a number of training that the URP funds and sponsors that we have to literally go and explain and tell them, listen, we want you to go and learn to use equipment, learn to do plumbing, electrical. The URP program is a temporary program. So you enter the URP program and you may not have been well skilled or whatever, and there are systems to develop you, and so that you can move out of the program. That is what I think needs to be strengthened within the program. But the CPEP program is separate and apart. The whole intention of the CPEP program is different. The CPEP program is designed for young entrepreneurs that want to get into business. It's actually like a nurturing program for young businessmen. So, which is why the requirements will be a little bit more, starting to understand in terms of your compliance and that kind of stuff. But it is not for big businessmen. It's for people who are now trying to get into business. And it's also a transition program. It's a program when you join it. You're not supposed, CPAP program is a program that you're staying for 5 and 10 years. It's a transition program. You get into the program, you start developing, and then you move on. Okay.
So just in the interest of time, we only have 2 more minutes.
Sorry.
2 more minutes. But I want to ask Brother Millard a question. Only Brother Millard now. You see, that Mr. Millard.
Between who's the minister, who's Brother Millard, who's
Well, let's go. I remember maybe in the previous program we did in fact make mention that people who seem to be dealing in like we use the Dolceries and the likes. They are well known for maybe looking out for all the poor people in the community and giving them food and hampers and a number of different things. And it seems as though it's an easy maybe recruitment window, but that yes, you are getting this all the time. And the time when I ask you to go and do this, it's not really an option. It's not an option you have. How do you respond to the fact that that vulnerability in communities? I want to ask the minister the same question in this 2 minutes.
Okay, but then you're going to have to give us a little more than 2 minutes. I'll take 3 or 4 and
No,
you take 3 or 4.
We have to close.
Listen, seriously speaking, that is a real thing. And the only way I can come, and this is unfair to him because he may not be able to answer it, but governmentally, you are fighting a $1 billion a year problem, or maybe more, in the depressed areas and throwing petty cash at it. Recidivism is a big problem. Men are going to come out of jail and they're going to be back into the ghettos. And you are saying that this is not a problem. Drug dealers, there are no drug lords in Trinidad. Drug dealers and drug managers in Trinidad and Tobago have access to large amounts of funds. They buy police officers with it, they buy protection with it, they buy local people with it, and the government is throwing petty cash at this problem and saying that, go and apply and you will get some kind of little money to help you open a little business. We know CPEP is basically a political repayment. So whoever is in the CPEP is given that because they supported the party in the last election. That's how it works. So basically, these slush funds that they create to pay the people back who stood with them, that's fine. All the governments do it. That's part of the system. But we are asking now for something meaningful to help the youths beat the problem, compete. If I am giving you $1 billion in resources, Mr. Drugs Dealer, and the government is offering $100 million in resources, you cannot fight the problem.
Let me
vulnerability is a closing punchline.
Yeah, but a number of things the brother say I don't agree with. Right?
I don't expect you to agree.
All right, just needed to say that. But one of the main problems that we have is, you see this get-rich-quick syndrome, right? A drug lord have $100 million and he could get a new car in the morning, and that is the problem. And this is where we have to teach reality of what life is all about. What is being successful in life is being successful having a nice car, a nice house, and having plenty money, or comfort of heart and peace of mind, happy children.
But Imam, if that was true, then I beg the men who leave a $100,000 a month job to go and work as a minister for $35,000 a month to give up what they have and show that success is in sharing. That's what you all need to do.
But it's service. This job, for me, is the most humbling job that I think anybody could have, for me. Because it's a job of service. People come to you, and you are there to serve. In the morning, you might be meeting with ambassadors and stuff. In the evening, you're serving your community. People coming with their problems. They're crying at you, they're shouting at you, they're vexed at you. It's a humbling, it's a job of service.
But
hold on, and it's a job to give back. If you, as an individual, just as you are an imam, you're an imam giving your service to your community and your people.
At no cost.
At no cost.
Yes.
And it's well, I pay bills, right? So and this job, my job is a part-time job. But the point I'm raising is it's a job of service. And if you have consciousness of country and you really want to do something better for the country, then whether you're making 100 million a month or 10,000 a month or 5,000 or 2,000, once you can live and you can give back that service and you're seeing progress and betterment in the community that you love and care about so much, that is where your energy and your satisfaction come from. And that's the same point I'm raising in terms of this get rich thing. Something about getting rich and doing these things to get rich, about life, that cannot be the foundation.
I agree with you, but exactly
is.
what you said just now, I never said get rich. What I'm asking you, just to answer that one core point that you raised, and please, Imam, just give us one more second to bring this to fruition.
Or two.
Or two, or three, or four.
No, we have time against us.
All right, but still,
1 minute,
1 minute,
okay.
fine.
We're already
He
over.
said clearly that, you should be giving back. Unfortunately, the men that they look to for mentorship revere and worship the men who have the millions of dollars. So if I look to my MP or to my minister or to my government at large for mentorship, I'm not speaking of any independent government, I'm speaking of anyone that has been there before, anyone that is in the democratic system. You are telling me that these men should show me this by example, but they kowtow and worship the 1%. What am I as a young man to believe? Until I get into that 1% or 5% or 10%, I will not be given respect.
You're closing a harsh note now.
No, but that's a broad brush.
I want to.
That's a big broad brush.
1% shall be strategic program.
I don't
Not to
know.
the end. There's no time to be bought.
Well, here
No
what
time
you
to
need
be
to
bought
do.
for
Here what you need to
1%.
do, Imam. Bring about 2-3 senior politicians here, and I will still come and say the same thing and let's have a talk.
I would have been a 1% because 1% can 20 licks these days, right? I know if you're the 1%, you know.
So do I, actually. But then you come here.
Come, but anyway, folks, we really have to close now. Thank you both, gentlemen.
Yes,
thank you both for a very entertaining program, apart from educational and informative. I really hope that we can continue this conversation. It is the third time we are having Brother Millard on the program because, and you being here, MP, really helps to put another slant to it. Of course, there must be some rebuttal. Some of the things he says could be quite harsh.
Yes.
You know, and if you don't get that,
There's my brother.
I love you, really.
you know, and it's only fair to hear the other side of the
And Imam, to be honest and fair, you can't just leave him like this, and then, you're going to have to bring him back,
Yes,
and so that he could at least beat me back a little bit too.
Folks, we really have to go. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, gentlemen. Thank you very much.